And we welcome you, my dear friends, who've joined me for this special time of reawakening to the Christ light, that influx of divine love coming from the Christ. Yes, the Christ, the risen cosmic Christ. And our theme for this evening, or this morning, is looking at an important fact that's often missed by religion. We are all sexual beings. Yes. And that has an important part to play in relation to our understanding as a child of God when we embrace the Christ light. A light infused by the masculine and feminine energies of the Supreme. Yes. So I welcome you to our 30 minutes of sharing from the heart. But first, let us just close our eyes. Let us just be still in where we are, in whatever part of the world. And I know that Miriam has joined us from New Zealand. And I want us to just be still and send out a positive energy as I speak to Palestine and to Israel for peace within the Abrahamic faith, the birthplace of Jerusalem, of all that we treasure dear, of all the religious masters and teachers from that faith, who've inspired many great men and women to surrender to God's love. So it's important that we hold Jerusalem, the heart chakra of the world, for Gaia, our beloved Mother Earth. And let us now call on the Christ and Magdalena, and let us invite their love for us as a child of love, a child of the Supreme, a beloved of God, to come in our vulnerability and our availability and surrender to that love. I now call on the company of heaven that they will inspire my heart to speak only what I'm given, where there is no agenda, no coercion, no indoctrination, only love. For 2012, December 21st, the dawn of the new Aquarius is the influx of the Christ, yes, the cosmic Christ. And let us now be aware that we are in the presence of the Christ. And we now embrace Christ consciousness from our heart. So let us just for a moment experience that love. Experience the joy and the peace that this love brings to those who are willing to step out of their comfort zone, to step away from religious dogma and fear, and to follow the solitary path with the I Am presence within, and embrace the true mystical heart of the Supreme. Let us be courageous now, and let us come into our power as a beloved child of a loving, non-vengeful God who calls you and me by name to sit at this table, a table of many blessings, a table where we see the face of the Christ and where He touches us, and heals us and reawakens the I Am presence within us if we are ready to surrender our mind, our head, our ego, our selfishness, our spiritual arrogance, our deceitfulness, our playing lip service to God. Let us come as we are. Let us take our rightful place and let us be still. For there is no fear here. There is only love. There is only peace. And as we close our eyes, we trust the cosmic Christ's love to touch us, to guide us, to prepare us for this important event in a matter of days that will change our life forever, that will change our perception of ourself and God for all time. And as we relax, let the heart experience our love, our thankfulness, our gratitude for what the Supreme Father, Mother God has done for you and me in our lifetime, through the good and the not so good, through the failures, the heartache, the sorrow, the disappointments, through the bereavements that we've each had to face in saying goodbye to those we loved, to our pets, to our dear little friends who brought us so much love and healing. But let us let them go now, for they are in a far richer place than we could offer them by our side. For the world that we are in now is a world that is so beautiful, and yet mankind is turning it into a living nightmare, where many are turning against themselves, against brother and sister of different faiths, where there is so much hate and prejudice and fear. Let us not become tarnished by anger or victimhood. Let us allow the Spirit of the Christ's love for us set us free. Set us free. Let's just sit for a moment in the presence of all that is and receive the greatest gift of all, that we are loved. That we are loved, that we have always been loved. And that nothing but God can change that, because we are a co-creator of God. Not religion, not dogma, but a God of love. Feel that love now. Feel that love. And let us sense the presence of Christ as He touches us. And as we shared with you at the beginning of this live transmission, here from a sleepy little village in the South Lakes of Cumbria, a little village called Stores. But there is a lot of love here, because it's rooted in the energies of the earth. And it goes right back to the ancient Celtic monks who came from Ireland and Wales and travelled by foot. And they crossed these very shores, across treacherous sands, to establish a little monastery not far from here, that's now in ruins. But Columba, Patrick and Cuthbert walked these shores all the way to Iona, one of the Hebridean Islands on the west coast of Scotland, one of 42 different islands. And there they brought to us Celtic Christianity, very different to Catholicism, and not as controlling, but more embracing of the elements and the earth, akin to Franciscan interspiritual way of living. And now we read from some notes for the theme for this evening. And it's about we are sexual beings. And that is so important to understand. For our sexuality is God's gift of himself to us. Is God's gift of himself to us. Whether we are heterosexual, homosexual, it doesn't matter. Because in the eyes of God, we are perfection. In the eyes of our mind, we are a living nightmare. And I know that only too well from my own faith journey, where I've struggled for many years to try and understand the church and how it responds to God's children of different faiths and of different lifestyle choices. Its dogmas, its encyclicals don't resonate with my heart or my simple faith. So I prefer to keep it simple and non-judgmental and allow each person be free to choose their own paths and follow their heart, their teacher. One of the Desert Fathers, Abbot John, reported triumphantly to his confessor that after a long struggle, many years, he had finally overcome all passion in himself. His confessor wasn't pleased at all. He said, "Go back," he told him, "and pray to be tempted again." My word. Like the wise old man he knew that passion, whether of anger or sexual desire, was part of normal human experience. Woe to the man or woman who is too good, for that sort of sins by pride or repression. He has abdicated his humanity. And that is true. And there is no connection here with that, with the cosmic Christ. In fact, it is not easy to live, as a human being must, with being a sexual creature. It is all right for the animals for whom sexual longing is a seasonal frenzy, to be satisfied as suddenly and often as violently as it occurs, and we've seen that through nature. It is much harder for us, for whom sex seems to touch upon so many other things, our loyalties to others, and our wish for stable family life, our need for social acceptance, on the one hand, and our need to grow as individuals, our need for ecstasy, even our longing for God, for the cosmic Christ. And it says, even our longing to find God on the other. Sex lies at the very quick of our lives, in our deepest hope to love and more importantly, to be loved, to heal and to be healed. It is the tremendous hope that all of us invest in sex which makes me feel we should be more compassionate to one another's sexual longings than to anything else. In practice, however, because of fear and envy, we are just the opposite, aren't we? I think we are, don't you? We are muddled and foolish, and we make terrible mistakes. And you only have to look at the television or read the papers and you see the mistakes that many of our celebrities make. Such as I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, that jungle program that everybody here is talking about. I won't watch it. It's foolish. It's silly. Who wants to watch another human being eat grubs and live insects? It's distasteful. It's barbaric. But that's me. I'm only one of the few. But he goes on to say, the condition in which love becomes swallowed in hunger. So many people today confuse love and lust. For lust is not love. Lust is engaging with your animal instinct, like the animals, where you become frenzied and you have it there and then. Love is more all-encompassing and all-embracing. Love of another human being in a sexual intimate act is one that involves respect, reciprocated respect. It involves tenderness, and it's also a prayer. Love making between two people who love one another, for me, is a prayer. It's a prayer because the I am presence within each, the divine that lives within each of us, who engage in a loving act, embrace God in each other. And that for me is sacred, and angels are present. Yet for all our capacity to get it wrong, we do so desperately want to get it right. Look at the self-help books that we invest in, the videos, the do-it-yourself quick-fit courses. Well, I've been on that course with so-and-so. She's a sex therapist, but she's very spiritual. No. When we close the mind and come back to the heart, therein we find our own beauty, and our inner voice won't condemn us. Our inner voice will instruct us and give us the desire to seek to perform what we call in monastic circles the examen of conscience, which we do at the end of every day, where we look back on our day and where we see if we can, with God's help, where could we have improved better? Where was I unkind, manipulative, argumentative? Where was I selfish? Where did I put myself first and not my neighbour? Where did I fail this day? And we bring it and we ask God's forgiveness, and then we move on to another new day. But we don't stay stuck in our memories of fear or unlovableness. For the I am presence is part of how we connect with our sexual feelings and desires. Just because I'm a monk doesn't say I'm immune. I'm not. I have those desires, but I sublimate them. Sounds a dirty word. I sublimate my sexual desires and turn them into a prayer. And I offer that struggle to God for peace in the world, and that all faiths will come together and embrace the one love, God Himself. But my notes say, it is a miracle of salvation that creativity springs not from our strength and virtue, but from our weaknesses, emptiness and shame. Oh boy, those words are singing to my heart. Are they singing to yours? For the great St. Paul said, in my weakness I am strong, but in the eyes of the mind and in the world today, it's not acceptable to be weak. It's a sign of failure, disgrace. It's something to be ashamed of. No, it's not. If we are weak and vulnerable, then if we come to God in our heart, from our heart, to our heart, and say, I am weak, help me to be strong again. That is an enormous challenge, an enormous virtue being practiced. That is a great strength. But the world doesn't want us to be humble. The world we live in is more driven by materialism and greed and selfishness, and they corrode the essence of who we truly are as a child of God. One of the so that lust, if accepted simply, almost humorously, without excuses or justifications, is turned from our crucifixion to our resurrection. One of the elders said, it is not because evil thoughts come to us we are condemned, but only because we make use of the evil thoughts. You see, it's what do we do with them? Do we entertain them? Take them out for a 5-course meal? Hire some yacht and go on some idyllic Mediterranean cruise? Or do we just bless them and release them? That's the key. I think I've read enough about my notes on sexual desires and being a sexual being. We are sexual beings. We were given those wonderful gifts by God, who created us in love. And what we can offer the Supreme is our love. And what Christ consciousness really means for me is to come back to my heart and sense that love, and to allow that love touch me on every level, where I'm struggling with bipolar, with depression, with pain, with sadness, with disappointment, with my own inadequacies. But that is the gift that we can offer to the Supreme when we come in our vulnerability as a sexual being of love. Let us dim the light, shall we? Let us come back to our heart, and let us embrace the cosmic Christ who loves us. And I know He wants to touch us. So as we sit quietly where we are, let us just be mindful of our in-breath. Let us be mindful of that sacred breath, the first breath that God gave to us. For it is a healing breath. It is a liberating breath. And now let us take a deep breath. And now let us release any tiredness, any weariness, any sadness to the beloved cosmic Christ. And as we breathe in again, let us call on the twin flames of the Christ Magdalena energies, and let those energies saturate our mind, our body, our being, our sexual orientation, whatever that may be, as a gift from God. And let us just relax and be still as a co-creator of God. And as we sit here, let us use our gift of free will to call the cosmic Christ, for He is here. But let us ask Him to speak with us now. Ask Him to touch our weary heart, our troubled mind, and just come before His love, where there is no condemnation, only acceptance. And as we sit quietly, we can see the outline of the purest rainbow, signifying God's promise to His people that when I call on you, I will come to you, and that when you need me, I will be there for you. And when you go through your darkest hour, remember this. When you looked in the sand, you saw 2 footprints, and you believed that they were yours. Focus on this. They were not your footprints, they were the Christ's. For He carried you and me, and He will go on carrying you and me until the time when we can carry Him and bring Him to the world who is so in need of His love. So let us just look at those footprints and let us study those footprints. And we notice there's something very special about those footprints. For one, they're much bigger than ours. And 2, they resemble something quite extraordinary. They have our name written in the center of each footprint. And above that name is, I love you. And below the name, and you know, I will never ever leave you. Let us focus on that, and let us be still in the presence of unconditional love. For that is Christ consciousness. That is the true meaning for me of what it is to fall in love with the cosmic Christ. For that love is a key that opens the door to great wisdom. Wisdom that is there ready to be explained to us, to be shared with us. Wisdom from the ancients and the esoteric schools of great knowledge, such as the Essenes of Mount Sinai. In those footprints we are seeing not just our name, but we see a heart around our name. And between the 2 footprints, there is a message. I called you by your name. You are mine. And below that, there is another message. And I have loved you with an everlasting love. You are mine. And as we just sit and absorb the love from those words, there is an energy within each letter of each word, and it resonates with my heart that tells me, even though I can go through my darkest hour feeling totally alone, as if I don't belong here, that I don't fit in this so-called beautiful world, where everybody is living in the fast lane, where I feel a stranger at times. But then I'm told, I called you. You said you would come to me. And then I hear the words, I have loved you with lasting love. You are mine. And in that moment, everything falls away. everything that has alienated me or left me feeling vulnerable or fractured, even depressed or despondent, even to question the existence of God, or is it all a joke? Am I going through a living nightmare? Then suddenly I'm made aware that the Christ consciousness is real, that the risen cosmic Christ is here, and that we each have a part to play by being a vortex of that love, by stepping into the power of the Supreme, by working with Gaia, our Earth Mother, to center all of humanity